Welcome, I'm Mr. Simons. Here in this lesson, we're looking at the exponential function. Right, so shape of exponential graph, very important that we understand it. General equation, y equal a times b, x minus b plus q. b must be greater than 0 and b cannot equal 0. So my a value there is positive, meaning greater than 0. b is bigger than 1. My graph will always be shaped coming from the fourth to the second quadrant, going into the first quadrant. This is referred to as an increasing function, because as my x values increases, my y values increases. Right? Let's look at the second shape. Alright, so for the second one, y equal a, bx minus b plus q. If my a is less than 0, but b is still bigger than 1, my graph would shape here from the second or fourth quadrant, going second and third quadrant. It will shape going down to the fourth quadrant. This is known as a decreasing functions, these questions that we ask, because as x increases, y decreases. Look at the third shape, y equal a, b, x minus b plus q. There my a is again positive, but now b is a fraction between 1 and 0. Then my graph shapes basically from the bottom up or down, going from second into fourth quadrant. Right, that's for fraction. This is also known as a decreasing function, because as x increases, y decreases. And then the last shape, fourth one, if my a is less than 0, but b is a fraction, then my graph shapes from fourth into third quadrant, and this is an increasing function, because as I increase x across, see there my y values also increases. So those are your basic shapes for your exponential graph. So if you look at the general equation, remember b must be greater than 0 and cannot equal 0. The line y equal to q is referred to as the horizontal asymptote. So whatever value we have here, that will always form my horizontal asymptote, and my graph is not allowed to touch there. A and b together determines whether the function is increasing or decreasing. So there, if a is greater than 0 or a is less than 0, b greater than 1 and b is a fraction, increasing. Vice versa for decreasing, if a is less than 0 and b greater than 1, and there a greater than 0, you see swap around, be a fraction, then it's a decreasing function. The domain will always be x element of real numbers, or x element from open parentheses negative infinity to positive infinity. Range, if a is greater than 0 in those two cases, then my graph y greater than q. If a less than 0, y less than q. So that is how we would find my range. Translation. So the value of p there, translate the graph left or right. So we say translate graph 3 units right. Remember, your brain will say it's plus 3. But for left and right, we always change the sign. So therefore, that goes in as negative 3. If I say 4 units left, that would go in as plus 4 there by p. And therefore, I shift the graph 4 units. Right, the value of q, translate the graph up or down. So if I want to translate or move the graph 2 units up, by q I'd simply have plus 2. 6 units down, there by q I would have negative 6. So if you enjoy the lesson and you understand, please like, share and subscribe. Right, I wish you nothing but the